Today I'm going to be making some Vidalia onions from my friend at VidaliaOnions.com, and I'm also going to be using some honey in the glaze from beehouse.com. You should check them both out. They're wonderful farm and hive sourced natural foods. Can't get any better than that. It's direct to you. Starting out with a low heat and saute pan. And we're going to add half a stick of butter. We're going to have that melt now. Chopped up finely, diced actually, the Vidalia onion, one onion. We're going to add that in. So get this butter melted, and we'll start to add in the onion. Make too much of a mess. After I did that, see about in half. Let's put it in the pan. What we're going to do is we're just going to keep that stirring and brown it up. As it starts to brown, after a couple minutes, then we will start to add seasonings to it. And we'll take a minute when it's all seasoned up, and the final ingredients to make a glaze. As you can see, it's sauteing pretty nice. It's starting to turn a little bit translucent, and at this point, we want to add about a teaspoon to the onion of Sicilian sea salt, of course. Should be about a teaspoon right there, and that comes from SicilianSeaSalt.com. Also another great product, if I may say so myself, as one of the owners. And what we're going to do is we're going to let that continue to simmer in the butter until it's completely translucent. And at that point, I'll check back in about 5 minutes and we'll finish it off. This is just a quick, everyday, view of one of the things that we cook here pretty often in our house. We're using the grill. Tonight we have lamb and chicken. We season the chicken with a Mexican seasoning dry rub that I made. And for the lamb, it's very simple. It's just coarse salt and garlic. But the rub also has salt as one of the key ingredients. And I think that oftentimes we overlook the importance of salt in our everyday cooking. A good salt, I mean, these lamb chops are having just salt and a little bit of garlic. So it's really only two, a little bit of a third ingredient on here. Chemical company salt compared to a natural gourmet salt, there's really just no comparison. When you think about it, as one of the main ingredients in most dry rubs, a good salt can make a huge difference in the final outcome of your food. So it's just something to think of. I was looking at the dinner tonight, thought I'd share. Anytime you're going to make something, salt is one of the main ingredients that you use to reach for it, and you don't even think about it oftentimes. But if you take a minute, think about it, try some different salts, you could be surprised at the wonderful flavor that it can make. So these onions have been cooking for about 6-7 minutes. I've been sauteing them, and I've been turning them. You can use a spatula or a spoon, or if you're handy with the saute pan, you can just flip them. They just turn around. The important thing is just to make sure they cook evenly. At this point, they're pretty well translucent, as you can see. They're softened up a lot. I tasted them. The butter flavor and salt is great. For this particular recipe, I'm not using pepper because the people I'm cooking for don't like peppers. But for most people, you put in a couple grams of pepper as well. Now, it's time to add a fortified wine. There's many choices. Sherry, use Marsala, you can use vermouth. I am going to be using a Marsala. Any type of, I like dry, any type of fortified wine will work good here. We're going to put in about a quarter cup. And you can see we start to bubble up. And you're going to want to mix that in. So, again, you can use a spoon, slotted spoon probably better, or a spatula or whatever you have handy. Or you can just give it a stir. And the next thing that I'm going to put in, while these Vidalia onions are already pretty sweet on their own, what we're going to add is a little bit of bee house honey. It's raw honey. This is the champagne wildflower type from beehouse.com. And we're going to add just about a teaspoon or two. And what that's going to do is just going to bring it up the sweetness just a little bit to offset some of the dry wine. And what it's going to do too is help with the glaze to make the glaze stick more to these onions when they're done. the sugar content will help to make that a little bit more sticky. And what that's going to do at the end of the day is when you serve these onions, you'll have a nice sauce that stays with them. And we're going to keep this sauteing for a couple more minutes until this reduces more into a glaze. You can see it's a little liquidy now. And what we want to have these continue to cook until this reduces a bit into a glaze, and then they'll be ready to serve, and it will taste wonderful. All right, so we're just about done here. You can see the Vidalia onions are now nicely covered in glaze. You can tell that this is done by the thickness of the bubbles. They're not just like splashing around. You can tell that there's some thickness to the sauce. And when you start to stir it around, you can see that it sticks to the sides of the pan a bit before it comes down. And that's going to tell you that it's done. Once this cools down just a bit, warm enough for you to be able to eat, it'll thicken up just enough that it'll coat these very nicely. And you're going to have a wonderful, wonderful side dish. So give it a try. It's really pretty simple. You saw, I spilled the onions. I was throwing them in there. Cooking's fun. Don't worry about making any mistakes. I guarantee that this is a recipe anybody can make and have fun with. So enjoy it and let us know how you like it. Thanks.